Hi, welcome to the Nonprofit Mastermind Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Brooke Richie-Babbage. Every Tuesday on the regular Nonprofit Mastermind podcast, I do a deep dive into the strategies and mindset behind launching and leading a high-impact nonprofit. This Spotlight is a special weekly series on Thursdays in which I showcase and celebrate the organizations in my Impact Accelerator program. I lift up their mission, their work, and their personal stories of leadership. I started the Accelerator because I believe that one of my purposes in life is to work for and support efforts leading to positive social change. The organizations that apply for and join the Accelerator are truly changing our world, and it continues to be such an honor and joy for me to aim my experience, my passions, and my resources at helping them grow their revenue and their impact. This series is my celebration of them. In this week's conversation, I am talking with co-leaders of an organization that I've had the pleasure of knowing for a number of years, Ragz and Michael RE of Flex Dance Program. Ragz and Michael founded Flex Dance Program as a response to the problem of mass incarceration. They wanted to tap into the expansiveness and movement of dance as a way to help young people, especially, see beyond a system that can always feel stuck. Their organization, through programs and community partnerships, offers young people not just safe and engaging ways to spend their time. They are also creating a powerful and inclusive community that embraces young people and gives them a cultural home rooted in self-expression and joy. In this conversation, we talk about their own personal relationships to dance and to Flex Dance in particular, and about how that deep personal connection helped them see dance as a vehicle for wider impact and broader social change. It's a beautiful and powerful origin story and a beautiful and powerful vision for change. I hope you enjoy. Hey, Ragz and Michael, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I have been talking in various forms and ways to you two for years now at this point. So I'm really excited to have you on the podcast and to really showcase and celebrate the amazing work that you guys do. So let's dive in.
Thank you.
I'd love to start with, tell us about your mission. Tell us about what your organization does and the kind of change you're trying to create in the world.
Yeah, so we started in 2014 bringing free dance mentoring sessions to youth in detention centers. So the main problem we're trying to solve is mass incarceration. So it's about, I think also since COVID, it's still high numbers of youth who are being detained every year. And yeah, we provide free dance mentoring sessions such as dance classes and events. Because really what we saw when we started volunteering was that there was so much talent but then so little support for the arts. So the way we see it in the program is that art can be a part of the solution to this problem. And, it's sort of like a movement to maybe a system that feels stuck sometimes. So
I love that imagery, right? You talk about incarceration, mass incarceration, bars, fixed, small spaces, tight, cramped. And, I've seen a number of the videos and the work that you guys have done and dance is about movement and expansiveness in space. I love that. Mm-hmm. Is that why dance, as opposed to other forms of art as a response to or an attempt to sort of break through this issue of mass incarceration?
Yeah, so dance is a very personal thing to me as well. So during adolescence, I really found dance to be a way to express things that I wasn't able to express verbally. So it's obviously dance is linked to music. So sometimes we see a lot of youth who are also talented in music. So it's kind of mixed sessions sometimes. But yeah, we mostly focus on dance and particularly flex dance, which is a style of dance that originated in Brooklyn in the 90s, and it originated from dancehall. So it's more of a street style dance that youth are attracted to, and it's more on sort of dance battles and events. So Michael, if you want to add to something that I'm saying, please do.
Yeah,
but
I would double down and say that for us, dance is the key. The change is true, specific to mass incarceration and the fact that there's a disproportionate amount of Black and Brown youth in Brooklyn at the detention center, and also, you know, in Manhattan, but also just in the nation, right? So that feeds into bigger ideas of white supremacy and, Black Lives Matter, things that we're not fully responsible or trying to tackle, but our aspects of it is, you know, these, like 5,000 youth that are sent to juvenile detention in New York every year. And dance is the prescription for us to give them something to do, a way of staying occupied, but more importantly, building a community that will give them and lead to alternatives that are different than the ones that are currently facing them. Because in our minds, none of them belong where they are. So if we can use dance as a tool, and like Ragz says, specifically flex dance, because our own personal history is as dancers, and then also as, you know, people who are fans of and also friends of the flex dance community in Brooklyn. So that's why we specifically lead with our dance style. By the end of the day, it's a matter of movement. It's about, you know, knowing yourself through dance, and dance is universal. I also think dance is particular to our community, personally and at large. So if the problem is mass incarceration, our solution is like dance and don't go to jail.
I love that. And so do your programs work with young people as they come out of detention? Do you also work with young people in detention? What's your relationship with young people and incarceration?
Yeah, so we started just providing the free sessions inside detention, because the way I was introduced to Flex 2 was that we saw, you know, it was already a lot of work that was being done in the community, but not in these secure detention centers. So then we started bringing those sessions and family days and events in detention, but then it was some requests from the youth to do an outreach program, and also from ACS to do an outreach program. So then we developed the model Flex In, Flex Out. And then since COVID, interestingly, we've been doing online sessions and reaching a lot of youth all over the world. So then the Flex World came also like a part of it. Mm-hmm. So much of our work is sort of to link and build bridges between all these programs, and providing youth internship opportunities and incentives is a big part of it as well. But predominantly is sessions and events on a consistent basis, and then scholarships or incentives for youth to be a part of sessions and help with events and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And Michael, you talked about community, and one of the purposes or driving sort of forces in Flex Dance in particular being what you guys focus on, this idea or sense of community. How do you guys work to foster that sense of community, either both within your programs and between your programs, as Ragz was saying?
Yeah, I think for us, community is really just about being present, as small as that might seem, because our power and our effect is very physical and in the moment. So when we talk about community building, we mean just people dancing. It's really as simple as that. It's wherever we see people dancing, it's a key to us as to our mission and what we want to see in the world, not just for the kids in juvenile detention, but at large. So as far as community building, we've done it all over New York. We ran sessions where we did happy hours in the Lower East Side with like virtual reality, where young professionals who also need this kind of relief, and things like Stand Sense Amazing would show up, and they would do that. But for our youth, there's been a little bit of a disconnect between the youth that we meet in detention and the youth that we serve out of detention.
Yeah, I would imagine.
It's a singular process in which they get out, they find us. But the model now for us is just, we are here in detention and we're here in your community. We've worked with Neon. Carnegie Hall has a program. So we've been in different communities for a large period of time. There's a period where we're at PJAC, which is the main, community center in East New York. So just being a physical space to share with students and be mentors, but additionally trying to strengthen that with relationships with other people in the community that are doing that work. In the beginning, we were doing a lot with Save Our Streets, where we're going out to, because one of the things that is starting to become more and more clear to me now is the idea of gun violence being very linked to the work that we're doing. Because on our end, we want the kids to not be in juvenile detention, but as far as everyone else is concerned, the problem is violence, problem is crime, and disproportionate. And unfortunately, our students are the ones in that bracket. So it is very real that when we say come dance, we mean that for the dancers who come from Crown Heights, Brownsville, East New York specifically, to have a center during a time where they might be obliged to go do other things, to build a community of people where they can keep dancing because they have a joy for it, and to grow in that light. So I guess that's what it comes down to when we say community.
That's really powerful. So it's not just sort of as simple as, hey, we're giving you this alternative way to spend your time. It's we're inviting you into a community, into a new home, into a space that is filled not just with other people who are also dancing and also learning, but it's filled with, you use the word joy, right? So there's a pull that's happening, you're hoping is happening with the young people away from these things that could result in them being sent back to detention or being sent to detention. So how did you both come to be doing this work? I mean, Ragz, you mentioned you were a dancer. Michael, were you also a dancer? It's such a particular intersection of issues for you to have dedicated your life in this way too. I'd love to hear your own personal journey to this point.
Yeah, I think for us, and for me personally, it's purely personal. Everyone has an idea.
It always is. Yeah.
as to the decisions they make. And I have to say, I only had one big dream in my adult life, and that was to live in New York City and to ride a bicycle. So I have achieved that. In order to do that, I had to leave like a job and go to grad school and do some other jobs and do a whole lot of things. But at the end of the day, Ragz is an old friend through a mutual friend from Paris before I moved to New York. We went to grad school together. And I think in 2015, she saw the movie. The movie is Flex is Kings. It came out 2014. It was a Sundance film. Ragz saw it the same way that I saw the billing for, but she was actually already in the detention centers because she was working with, I believe, youth that might have been autistic or just in general. She was doing yoga with Lineage Project in the detention center. So when she came to me,
dance yoga.
I've seen this movie and I've met these dancers. Would you like to get involved? For me, like, life is about the things you do for others. So it was natural. It was given. I'm from Ghana. My dance background is all my life. I wasn't trained in flex dancing, and it's a surprise because of all the years I've been around them, I would not consider myself a flex dancer, and that's out of respect because it's very easy to come on board and say, "Hey, I want to learn this. I want to learn that." But I came on board in reverence of these guys who spend their whole lives training this art form.
Yeah, building the skills.
Make a change and have a real relationship with these students because they come from the same communities, right? So for me, as a dance lover and a dance practitioner, that's secondary to the idea of me being of service and walking this personal path, with my friends and, making this change in the world. So that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, same for me. I wouldn't consider myself a flex dancer. I'm a fan. Still, like, it's, I moved to New York when I was 17 for dance, but it was musical theater, which is a very different style of dance.
Very different.
And then, I got introduced to other styles of dance. I mean, my dance, trajectory has always been, New York is the mecca of arts and dance. So I always was curious to learn more. And then, I got introduced to flex through the movie and then started going to the events. And then I started learning more about the style and getting to know the people. And then we started it as a volunteer project, and it's still a learning process with a lot of this nonprofit development. And it's definitely, we're in our 8th year now as far as like doing the free sessions and doing the work, but we're still very much in the beginning phases of a lot of things. So
I feel like that's life. You've made progress and you look back and you see how far you've come, and then you look ahead, you're like, oh, wait, there's still so much to learn, so far to go.
Very much. Yeah.
So tell me about what's coming next for you guys? What's coming in the coming year that you're building towards and really excited about?
I'm excited. We're excited about now since COVID is, it's starting to become a little bit easier to do in-person stuff again. So building partnerships, collaboration with other organizations doing similar work, and like Michael said, really pinpointing some of the issues that we have seen with building those bridges, right? So really trying to raise funds to do more as far as one-on-one mentoring, doing more research, tapping into what the youth actually need when they do come home, what kind of incentives and support is needed in order to practice creative activities, so I think now we're still being consistent with the sessions, but we're mostly focusing on partnerships and also excited about a session we're doing every Friday in Bed-Stuy at a community center in partnership with NEPCO. So really excited to build that and continue to bring people together through dance.
Are there certain kinds of partnerships that you have found to be particularly powerful in reaching the young people that you want to reach and forming the kind of community that Michael's talked about?
Yeah. So, in the past, we partner with Friends of Island, doing some sessions, mostly in detention, and also Drama Club. They're doing more, theater based, but we've been talking about doing joint workshops at Rikers, because we were doing also sessions at Rikers with the young people at some point, but continuing to collaborate and doing that work. And I know Drama Club and Man Up at PJAC, and they're working both in and out, so they have sort of similar model.
So working with other nonprofits that have similar models, work with similar populations, and you bring the flex dance perspective, and maybe they bring theater. Exactly. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an exciting opportunity to perform at the National Action Network convention in April, which is just next month. But the National Action Network is Reverend Al Sharpton's national organization that is born out of the civil rights movement. Mm-hmm. So for us, like, those are the kind of partnerships that we're interested in, right? It's a matter of who else is looking out for these 5,000 young brown and Black kids that are. Yeah. So to be honest, the city of New York is and will remain our biggest partner, right? Whether we we're their favorite, vendor or whatnot. It's not the case, but the idea that these 5,000 kids go through that system, and, it's either we meet them at the detention center, community centers, or at schools before we can ever bring them into our community. So the city principally is our partner. Other community organizations do similar works in Brooklyn. I think for us, what's exciting is to one day be able to say that for these kids in Brooklyn, we are the ones. We're the ones that are looking after them. We're the ones who know about their condition. We're the ones who can turn to when you're looking for stats about juvenile justice in New York. And we're the ones that people understand. Because right now, if you do, let's say, put a hashtag for Crossroads or Horizons, you're not going to find too many individuals or organizations that are coming up besides us, because we've done it for 5 years. So we want to just take it from there and be like, this is our population. These are the kids that we are here for. And who else is going to make that a bigger movement, such that, it's a different story for these kids who maybe they do find themselves at these centers, but immediately realize that there's a whole bigger world out there. And the Flex Dance program is the most exciting thing they could be part of. And it's not just fun to dance, but that they can come dance in that style and meet other people just like them in their community. Just to deal with some of the trauma that we all deal with as, Black, non-Black women, whoever else is marginalized within the system.
I would also add the New School, because the New School and the Institute for Transformative Mentoring has been a huge support for the teaching artists and providing trauma-informed programming mentorship certification. So that's also been a great partnership that we're continuing to provide sort of professional development and support, wellness each semester.
So where can people go to get involved, to join your community, to support your work, to help you help these young people?
I would first go to our website and sign up for the newsletter, because we're excited to launch a new campaign, Dance Saves 2022 in April. So it's a lot of information that's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming with that. And then also social media. Mike, you can give the handles for that. Right. Instagram, flex in, flex out, _flex out. To follow that channel. That's the main channel, right?
Yeah, the main word for us is champions. We're looking for flex champions. All that means is that you champion the work we do, that you're a lover or an appreciator of dance, So we have a few hashtags going. It's Dance Saves, it's Spread Love, and it's just dance. So we're just encouraging you, if you do understand or believe in our mission, to tap in this way. We have a full schedule, something for everyone, literally for everyone. If you're a youth, you can come to our Saturday Cypher. If you're a young professional, you can come to our once monthly community event in Bed-Stuy. You know what I mean? So there's something for everyone. And more importantly, we want to build these linkages with a full ecosystem of people who are looking out, again, for these kids in this community. So when it comes to other dance groups, when it comes to other pro-Black centered organizations, advocacy groups, we want to learn what they're doing, and we want to invite all of you to join that as well. So it's we're all here for these kids, and we're all Flex champions. You can follow us, Flex Dance Program, Flex in _Flex out, specifically for program related content. Because one of the things we realize is that, like Brooke says, there's affinity and there's attachment. There's the people that just need to know what you're doing, and the people who need dance content. So we created a space for everyone. And like I said, just be a Flex champion, follow us, join us. Presence is everything. If you happen to go on our website or Instagram and you see that we're having an event, don't be shy, but also book us. We want to be ubiquitous. We want to be around all summer. If it's your grandfather's 75th birthday, if it's a rally, whatever it is, 3 dances for $300. We'll show up for an hour and a half and just make sure everyone has fun, because that's the one thing that we always guarantee. We've been in so many different settings and no one's walked away being like, wow, that wasn't fun. So that's really what we're hoping you. Presence, community, fun, joy. I love that. What a great
What a great place to wrap up. Thank you guys for sharing. It was so great talking to you guys here. I will make sure all of the information that you just shared, Michael, and the website Ragz that you shared are in the show notes. And as always, I have enjoyed talking with you too. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brooke.
Thank you so much, Brooke.
Thank you so much for joining me for this week's episode of the Nonprofit Mastermind podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you think what we talk about here, the trainings and the guests and the conversations, could benefit another leader in your life, I'd love if you would leave a review and share with your friends. If you want to take the next step and begin to put into practice what we talk about on this podcast, I've created a toolkit where I collect and share downloads from many of our conversations. It's got templates, worksheets, and references to help you execute on what we talk about here on the Mastermind. There's lots of great stuff, and I add to it almost every week. You can download it at richie-babbage.com/architecture of impact toolkit. I also want to share another free resource for leaders of growing nonprofits. It's a free training. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. The 4 questions you need to ask to know if your nonprofit is really ready to scale. Growing an organization doesn't happen by accident, as we all know. You have to take the right strategic steps at the right time to avoid overwhelm and burnout and that horrible feeling that so many of us have had as you watch the work of your organization outstrip capacity and sometimes even funding. It's almost impossible to reverse engineer good growth. And by that, I mean growth that can be sustained over time, just by looking at what you think you see in other organizations. So in this free training, I help cut through all the noise, and I identify the 4 simple questions that, if you really engage with them and think about them, will tell you when you're ready to grow without frenzy, without overwhelm, and with the confidence that you're making the right moves for your organization. You can access the training at richie-babbage.com/ready to scale. Finally, if you'd like more leadership resources and strategies in your life, sign up for my weekly newsletter, Leadership Forward 321. Each week, I curate and share 3 articles, 2 resources, and a quote on a theme. You can get that at richie-babbage.com/leadership forward 321. That's all for now. Have a great week, and I'll see you back here next week for more Mastermind.